Hey, and welcome to Wolff Weekly number 7. It's kind of hard to believe that we've been doing this for 7 weeks now, but yeah, we're here, number 7. So thanks for joining in. Be sure to comment and let us know where you're watching from. I've got my phone, so I'll be kind of monitoring comments and questions as best as possible. We also have David Wolff and Bill Pierce, and we've got Dan over here, all in the chat. So if you got questions, somebody will be able to answer that for you. Thanks for joining us. We're excited to be here. Before we kind of get started, I'm going to make sure I mention that we still have our special running on the UFO tools. The model number UFO-5 will get you 5 of the UFO tools for $2.50. And I have seen a question a time or two, what exactly is the UFO tool? And I don't have one here with me, but it is the tension adjuster tool for like the pivot hardware that is slightly different. So this is an example of a UFO tool. So it will allow you to adjust the tension on the shears. So we've got 5 of those for $2.50. Those are not, that's not on the website, so you will have to give us a call about that. And then the other special is the bulk pack of the ring sizers. Multiple sizes, multiple colors. You get 100 in a pack for $20, and that is RING-100. So give us a call about the ring sizers or the UFO tools. Make sure that you got everything as business is starting to ramp up. And speaking of that, it seems like in a lot of states, salons are open, ramping up. I know salons opened this week in South Carolina, so I got my cut this week. Been waiting on that. So salons are open. Go support them. Go get your hair cut. But let us know in the comments, are you seeing an uptick in business? Are you starting to see, as things open up, you're sharpening more as barbershops and salons are getting ready? So let us know if you're seeing that, because that's encouraging to us if you guys are busy working. And that kind of goes into the next thing. We're doing the stream today. We're doing convexing on the Ookami Gold with Glen Burke. He'll be in here teaching us this, but we've got the stream this week, and then we have one next week, and then we may kind of revisit the weekly format as business is increasing, and a lot of us are kind of getting back out there on the road and working. We may revisit and look at. We don't want to stop doing the live format because we really like the interaction with everybody. And we like the community, and it's valuable information. We've been getting good feedback, but we may look at starting to do maybe once a month kind of deal. And we're going to take our equipment and our energy that we've been putting into these live streams, and we're going to start putting them into updating like our formal training DVDs and formal training videos that ship with our product. So our Here To video, our Ookami Gold video, when you get the equipment. So we're going to start putting energy into that over the next little bit. So let us know what you think. I feel like probably we got a lot of people that are busy working right now, and they're going to watch this stream later. So just provide us some feedback. We'd love to hear from you, but we may consider doing this once a week going forwards. And also, our classroom is back open now, so we are doing classes again. So we're going to do the one-on-one training. The stream is great. There's a lot of good information, but nothing quite replaces the hands-on tactile training. So we've got some new procedures and processes in place we'll probably have to take a look at just because of the world we live in right now. But I do want to make the formal announcement that we are open, and Glen is doing one-on-one training again. So just looking at my notes here, before we get started, about 5 minutes before the stream, we had a call, and there was a question brought up on the call that we thought would be great to answer here on the stream. It not necessarily related to what we're doing, but we wanted to kind of address it. And it was, can you put the honing wheel or the buffing wheel on the left-hand side of the machine? Our answer to that is no, we would not recommend doing that. And the reason is when you clamp the scissors, in here, the blade is pointing up, and that wheel is spinning down. So it's not really a matter of if, it's a matter of when that blade is going to cut into that wheel, and that's gonna knock a chunk out of the wheel. That may send scissors flying, and we don't want scissors sticking in the wall or anywhere else. To address that, we thought that'd be a good question. No, we don't recommend putting that type of wheel on the left-hand side of the machine. Cool. So let's convex some scissors. I'm going to jump out and man the cameras and the lights, because we've got our macro camera set up again, so Glen can get real close in there and show you exactly what he's doing. So I'm going to jump out, Glen's going to jump in here, and we'll get started into convexing scissors.
Hey sharpeners, good days. We got businesses opening up. Get back out there, get in contact with the salons, get back in contact with the community, start making some money again. But be safe. You know, we still have some health practices that are in place in many states, and you just need to take care of yourself and take care of your customers. You know, it's not just yourself that you have to be concerned about. You want to be conscious of other people's health. So keep that in mind. Be aware of maybe some other practices that specific businesses are putting in place for public in general. So what we're going to address today is repairing a convex shear. Now, we're going to focus on convexing with the standard clamp and convexing with the convexing clamp. But in specific, attention being paid to a shear that has been sharpened improperly, a convex shear that has been sharpened with a bevel. Had a sharpener, talked with him earlier this week, I believe, asking how do you tell whether or not a shear has been sharpened incorrectly. I tried to get him to see, you know, is the edge polished or is it rough? Is it sharpened all the way into the entry? And that's what I want to try and get us to see right now. If we're going to be addressing a shear that's been sharpened incorrectly, and let's see if we can't get that in a more of a macro view. Caleb's going to make a quick change of the cameras. This is a convex shear. As you can see, it's got a nice, beautiful 35-degree bevel on it. This area right here is where you would want to look. Now, I actually beveled these shears out in a sharpening floor. If you can see on one blade or another, if you run across a shear that's been beveled like this, the majority of these sharpenings happen with the shear still assembled. And so what you're going to find is a little tiny spot right here where getting to a different angle there. Okay, I see what you're doing. This spot right here where the convex hasn't been completely removed, if you can look right at the entry, you'll be able to do a scratch test there as well. That's one example. Here's another example where the shear has been sharpened all the way up through, so they didn't really leave much to do a scratch test on or to make sure, but you can see the rough grind lines as opposed to a nice polished finish on that cutting edge. And right through here is where we're looking. But you may, I'm going to get this, here we go, have a little area where they just, because the shear was open when they were sharpening it incorrectly, you'll have a little area here that you can look to see what angle to sharpen at or to bring your convex back to. I ran into these quite often when I was...
when you're looking down, you need to speak up just a little
Okay.
bit. Because the mic.
Look down and speak up. Got it. I would run into these quite often with, you got the down view, Dan? When, you know, maybe a sharpener is starting up, they bought the least expensive equipment they could get, and they want to go out and start sharpening beauty shears because that's where the money is. I'm glad we had this little UFO tool back up here on the table. I didn't think about getting one. I was mobile with the Ookami Gold sharpening system and learned convexing using the standard clamp, and then over the years made increased some learnings and some classes, working with Jim O'Donnell. Folks here, I think Gennard was still working with Wolff Industries. And then competing with guys that were using flat hone sharpeners, I had to make sure that my convex was just as good as the flat hone. Now, just to show you the blades I'm going to be working on, if we get the close-up again, Dan. There's a 35-degree angle. This one, it goes all the way into the entry, so it's kind of difficult to see where the what angle I'm going to be needing to get to. But here's the other blade. This is the thumb blade of the shear I just disassembled. I'll be able to find my angle right there. So I'm going to come in. I'm going to do my scratch test at 45 first. That's a nice place to start. Now, I'm not going to turn my machine on. I want to remove as little as possible because I have such a small area to do my scratch test in. Okay, that is right on the cutting edge. So I'm going to go to 50. I'm going to make my scratch test there, or my first sharpening pass. The goal is to get this from 35 to 50 and reconvexed. When you're reconvexing a shear, you're going to be restoring the ability of the shear to slide cut, to do the other functions that can only be performed with a convex blade. I'm going to make this first pass and have my cover on too tight. Well, can you give me that wrench that's on that wall over there? I rotated my diamond wheel earlier and I snapped my cover on too tight.
Which one?
That's good. That's good. One light pass. We'll check my angle. All right, I'm gonna stay at 50. And I'm using my 50-degree angle to remove the 35 degrees. I've got a little tiny bit left. Now, part of this process that we're not going to go into is the inside line. We covered that in another video. And am I able to be heard while I'm sharpening and talking, Dan? Okay.
Yeah.
Because what inevitably happens with the sharpening of an incorrect angle is it removes a lot of the inside line. So you're going to have to make sure you have fresh paper on your honing blocks, and I've got a little tiny bit more. If you're using light passes, this blade is not going to heat up. Just take your time with it. This is a repair, and it just what's going to happen. But when it's sharpened incorrectly, it's going to remove a lot of the inside line, and you're going to have to spend a lot more time on your honing blocks to get this repaired. I've got a little tiny spot left right here, and then we'll be ready to start convexing. Okay. I like how that looks. We're going to be able to like lift this a little higher so I don't have to take it out of the clamp?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. Let's see.
Here we go.
Okay, that is a 50-degree bevel from my diamond wheel. Very wide, all the way down. Sorry about that. I can slide it laterally and not tipping it up.
As far as I got.
Okay. How's that?
I'll have to go back to sit it back down over now on the tabletop.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Well, we have good focus back here.
Bring it back down lower, closer to the table. It's too close to the lines.
Okay. Got a good picture of it here a second ago.
Yeah. Here we go.
Okay. So this goes all the way down. That wide bevel goes all the way down to the tip. All right. You can see that is a very wide bevel all the way to the tip. Now my objective is going to be to start convexing from my 50 degrees. With a standard clamp, I'm going to change to 52.5. And a very light pass. I'd love to figure out a way to get that where I don't have to take it out of the clamp, but it's all right. We'll do it this way. Be able to. There we go. That first pass is the bevel that's above. There you go. The sharpening bevel. So that secondary angle is at 52.5. That is one light pass. I'm going to make another couple of light passes on there because my goal is to make sure that that secondary that secondary angle is just slightly wider than the first angle. Okay. All right, slide this back under the close-up shot. As you can see, the second bevel is just slightly wider than the first. 52.5. 50. Now I'm going to put another chamfer on top of that angle. I'm going to make one more pass just for grins and giggles. 52.5. Now I'm going to change to 55. I want my 55 degree angle to be the same. Now this is kind of unique because I've already started going up onto the face of the shear. Just one pass at 55, and it almost removed the 52. All right, but I have three distinct bevels on here. I'll take it out next time. Sorry about that. Now I'm going to go to 52.5. I'm sorry. That's going to be 57.5. I was at 55. This is 57.5. Now I've got four distinct bevels across the edge. Get back. You can see in the entries real clear. There's four distinct bevels on there. An attempt to convex. I forgot to take it out, didn't I? And I said I would. Now, from this point in the sharpening process, I would go to the honing blocks, reestablish the inside line, remove the burr, reestablish the inside line, and polish that inside line. Then I would put it back in the clamp. And in that drawer next to the poster there is the polishing compound. Nope. Or is it up on the shelf? On the desk. There we go. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Nasty polishing compound. Beautiful. Now I'm going to start blending these back in with the face. You're going to see me apply the compound several times. It's the compound that's doing the work. Your polishing wheel simply holds the compound. So if you don't have the compound on there, you're not getting anything done except heating up the blade. Now I'm going to go from 57.5 to 52.5. I'm going to jump 5 degrees instead of 2.5 degrees. Caleb, could you grab me a paper towel? Should be a loose roll over there. Thank you. Now, I didn't go all the way back to my cutting edge, the original angle that I started at. Because this is a soft wheel and I use a lot of pressure. Now I'm going to show you again what we started at and then what we have. Now, is that going to be focused? That's beautiful. Now, this is what we've brought it to. Reconvexing, and now we're at a 50-degree angle on our convex. If we had started at 45, it would just be a matter of increasing the number of steps of the process. Now I'm going to show you how to do it with the convexing clamp. There's a couple ways that you're taught to use the convexing clamp. Grab that penny that's up there. One is to use a penny to make those incremental movements. To show you what that looks like, I'm going to make my scratch test at 45. Mixed my blades up here. I'm trying to find that other half of the 35-degree. That's convexed. There it is. I'm going to go ahead and sharpen this at 45, which would increase the number of steps, technically. But with the convexing clamp, it makes it much faster. First, I'm going to reestablish the initial angle. Now, the initial instructions with the convexing clamp tell you to use a penny or a dime to help with these incremental movements of the clamp. You're not changing the angle with your angle lock knob. You're actually using the penny to open the shear up for increased angle. And I'll move the penny forward a little bit, which opens the clamp up a little more. Move the penny forward. Now what that is going to do is give you those chamfers that we're trying to achieve with the standard clamp. But due to the physical limitations of the clamp and the penny, it doesn't convex very far up the face. The penny is great for learning to use the convexing clamp, but I would suggest that, like training wheels, there's going to come a time to take them off. And that's when you start using the convexing clamp freehand. I'm going to do the 45 again. Now, what I'm going to do is, with my finger and thumb,
Move that forwards a little bit.
right here,
Yeah.
I'm going to open the clamp up just using my hand as a gauge. Down a little, move the handle down a little bit, down a little bit. And you will make as many passes as you feel like you need to make in order to blend that bevel back into the face of the shear. I'm trying to find... Each step is very, very close. So actually I have started my convex with my diamond wheel. Making very small incremental movements. And just for grins and giggles, I'm going to go further up that face. And I've convexed using that diamond wheel. And again, from this point of the process, I would go to the honing blocks. With the deburr block, I would remove the burr and reestablish the ride line. Finish it with the finish block. The polishing, all I'm going to do is start with the clamp open. And with each pass across the wheel, I'm going to close incrementally. And then open it back up, reapply the compound. Make each pass, and I'm closing incrementally and open it back up. Put some more compound on, close incrementally and open it back up. Hopefully you'll be able to see that from the top view. I'm dropping the handle down a little bit with each pass till I get to the stop. Then I'm going to go back up. compound.
It's kind of hard to see, but during that time, that entire time, you're going up and down.
Yes, the whole time. And maybe this would be something that we do from the side view. Can I, before you disconnect that, Caleb, let me show them what we've done so far with the, and then I'll put it back in the clamp and show the hand movement. You're leaning over like it's going to help. There we go. Come on, Glen. That's the convex. Okay. Now, I'm going to have Caleb change to the other camera, and we'll see if we can't show the hand movement a little bit better. All right, is there a way to be able to zoom that in? Yep. Just on the machine there? There we go. All right. So I'll start open like this, and I'm typically holding it tight, but I'm going to get my hand out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. Down a little. And then I'm going to go back up. Put more compound on. And now I'm going to do it like I normally would. So with out and back in, I'll change the angle, out, back in, change the angle, out, back in, change the angle. This maintains uniform polish from entry to tip. I'm not concentrating on one spot and inadvertently maybe the polish is fresh here but not here, and so I'm actually taking more material off here, so it gives the face a waved look. If I'm going across the wheel uniformly with each step, it's going to blend the convex in much, much better. Then we would assemble the shear, get the rest of the test performed. Do the finished test cuts, tension. But that's convexing using the standard clamp or the convexing clamp. The convexing clamp is going to speed up the process because you're able to make the angle changes just with your hand. I think it's going to give you a finer looking a convex. If you have, like I said, the 50 degree, it's going to blend further up into the face of the shear, so you'll have a more uniform looking convex. The limitation with the standard clamp is our last increment is at 55. Anything after 55, between 55 and 60, you're going to be guessing. But with a little experimentation, you can go up to 60 degrees with the with the standard clamp. With the convexing clamp, you could literally go all the way to the spine. So I really enjoy using the convexing clamp. It actually sped up my sharpenings when I was mobile and David came out with the convexing clamp. I was able to cut my sharpening time almost in half, just because of I'm not having to change my angles, and it made my polishing, blending those chamfers in so much faster. So just a nice tool to have. If you have any questions.
Yeah, so I'm going to jump in here. That was a lot of information. We went through it pretty quickly. So we're going to sit here. I'm going to go through my conclusion, my outro. But jump in there and ask us questions, and I'll see if we can get to them before the end. If you are watching this later, leave us a comment on the video, and we will get a response to you and answer those questions. So I'll sit here and see if we got some questions coming through, because I know you guys are a little bit behind where we're at. But earlier in the beginning, I mentioned that we were doing the weekly stream this week, and then we've got one more next week. That's going to be number 8. That means we've done this for 2 months, done it for 8 weeks, and we hope there's been a lot of value here for you guys. But we are going to look at moving more towards maybe a monthly type of live stream demonstration. So next week we are going to have Glen back, and we're going to look at weird scissors, different things you may run across. Specifically, we'll look at thinners. I know we've touched on thinners a little earlier. That was more on ride line. We'll look a little bit at sharpening thinners, curved scissors, just things like that. So we're going to touch on those. So leave us a comment or a question if there's something you'd like us to address while we're looking at that. Cool. Yeah, it looks like we're good. So like I said, if you got a question after the fact, this stream will be available to watch here in the next few minutes. Give us a little bit to get the links and stuff loaded into the description. It gives a little bit of time for the comments to process, so you can see the live comments again. But leave us a comment and we will get back to you. Yeah, looks like we're good. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be here next week. Same time, same place. We'll see you then.